Hey guys, what's going on? And welcome back to another edition of Flick News, the show here on FlickDirect where I give you guys the latest that happened in entertainment news throughout the week, and then I give you all my personal take on the matter at hand. I'm your host, Austin Pundam, and I just want to say before I go on, Happy New Year. I hope you guys had a safe and a very happy time on New Year's Eve. But anyways, so yes, 2020 is finally over. It's about darn time because at one point 2020 felt like it was just a never-ending trench of crap going into 2021, which I'm praying is at least 5% better. But anyways, so there wasn't a whole lot that happened in terms of movie news, but I did get quite a few things that I can talk about. Not too many big things, but a couple of things I saw. I was like, you know what? I need to talk about this. Starting off with this week's show, something that happened really cool. So if you guys remember, I think this was a couple months ago, AMC reported that they were not doing well whatsoever, to the point where it was looking very bad for the the theater chain. Why did I say media chain? But yeah, the theater chain, I have one that's about 15, give or take, minutes away from where I live. I go there to the IMAX screen a lot. So according to AMC, I think it was a couple of months ago, they reported that they were doing really poorly in terms of earnings. But they had made a deal to which they had enough cash to apparently last not only through the new year, but until I think spring or maybe summer of next year. Well, apparently, get this guys, AMC has raised an additional $125 million, which is huge. Now, from my hearing, I think this has to do with the government funding. Apparently, the Senate, I know it was some type of house, I know it was in DC, but I think somewhere in the House, they funded for theaters to be able to survive through the pandemic if the pandemic gets worse. I didn't read into the situation too much, but from what I saw, it looked like that AMC had raised enough. I'm guessing it's from that to be able to survive. And I'm thinking that maybe somewhere around maybe February or March, things will start to maybe somewhat get back to normal in terms of movie theaters. I think though, in terms of the summer or in the fall time, that's when things will get actually better and better. That's just what I think at the moment. But I really do think that 2021 things will start to get turning around, especially with the vaccine going around right now. But knowing that AMC has raised over $125 million, that's a big sign, that's big news, and I really do think that theaters will survive, even though I think a lot of people out there may think otherwise. But personally, for me, I do think that theaters will survive, even if it's going to be a really tough hill battle to climb for them. I'm really happy that AMC was able to raise that much money. That's absolutely crazy. Coming up next, on to our second and final news story of this week, we got some great news from the DCEU. So, as you all know, one of the DCEU films that come out this year is The Suicide Squad, written and directed by James Gunn, who I cannot wait to see what he brings for us. I know we don't have a trailer just yet, but I feel like it's going to happen sometime very soon, because we did have that behind the scenes look, which looked really freaking cool. From what I'm seeing so far, even though we haven't seen any trailer footage, from what they've described from this movie, it just seems like it's going to be a great badass time. And people were speculating, what was the movie going to be rated? Because if you guys remember, Suicide Squad back 5 years ago. 5 years ago, Suicide Squad came out. Can you freaking believe that? But it turns out that James Gunn's The Suicide Squad will be rated R. Not PG-13, but rated R. You know what? You better make it rated R, I'm just saying. I'm wondering if they had shot it for an R rating, or if... No, they had to have shot with an R rating in mind. It just makes me think that they're going to go batshit crazy with this movie, and I cannot wait. I believe the release date is in summertime, I believe May and September. May, August, I'll put the actual date right here. Nonetheless, I'm looking forward to this movie so much. It's in my top 5 most anticipated movies of the entire year, even though, due to the virus still going on, even though vaccines are being distributed, we'll see how it turns out. But still, you know what? I'm looking forward to this movie nonetheless, and I cannot wait to see what James Gunn brings to the big screen. I am going to see this movie in IMAX opening night. You are goddamn skippy. For our final story, it's not much of a story this week, but it's something that I saw and I want to talk to you guys about. So if you guys are like me and if you like looking at the behind the scenes process of certain films like animation, anime, and all that stuff, if you guys thought Soul was your #1 favorite movie of the year like myself, this is going to be really cool. So on Disney's Twitter page, they posted from side by side, I believe it was the content or the storyboards from Soul, and then how they made them into what you see as the final finished project. And then they have a couple of scenes, like for example, the sequence when Jamie Foxx's character, Mr. Gardner, comes out of that club for his audition. He's about to die. If you haven't seen the film, watch it. I don't know, something about this process, anytime it's involving with anime or just computer generated animation filmmaking, it's something that I've always been interested in, knowing how much I love Soul. This was something that I had to see for myself, and I gotta tell you guys, Pete Docter, Kemp Powers, to everybody who was involved with the animation department, a phenomenal job for bringing what was going to be probably a really complicated animation film, especially when it comes to after Joe Gardner dies, especially if you have seen the style of animation that they go for. They're a lot of fun to look at, especially if you're a big fan of sword or just a big fan of animation filmmaking. Not much of a story, but something I really wanted to talk about because I was just like, holy crap, it's Soul. Alrighty guys, and that is going to wrap it up for this week's show. My apologies that there wasn't a lot to talk about. Like I mentioned, for the past couple of weeks, I've been struggling to find a couple of stories to make a show out of, but I hope you guys enjoyed today's show nonetheless. So please comment and let me know below, how do you guys feel about AMC raising an additional $125 million? Do you guys think that this ups their chances of surviving after the pandemic? Also, how do you guys feel about the Suicide Squad being rated R? If you guys did watch the storyboards from the concept to the full finished product, what do you guys think? I hope you guys enjoyed this week's show. If so, please hit that like button, also share, and don't forget to hit the subscribe and notification bell whenever the latest video from us goes live. If you guys want to see any of our previous 2 videos, please click either right there or there. And of course, until next week's show, we will see you guys next week. Have a great week, guys.